My name is Felicia Tungul. I'm from Unalaska, Alaska. I was born in the Philippines. I was raised in Unalaska, moved here about 2 years ago. I have 2 children. We're a mixture of Alaska Native, Filipino, and Caucasian family, and so we've got all sorts of cultures in one household. Yeah, around my freshman year, I started experimenting with marijuana. That was my first time. I was 15, and that's all I did up until my senior year. And well, we made a pact, me and my friends. We're from rural Alaska, we were bored. We're like, hey, let's try every drug before we graduate. Any drug we could get a hold of. I know, it sounds ridiculous. My brother and my best friend suffered from methamphetamine addiction, and I used to be so against it. In my senior year, I was kind of struggling, and I was like, you know what, I want to try this. For a while there, it was ecstasy, was the biggest one, Molly. Once we tried that and cocaine, it was like, oh, this is nice. But then the summer rolled around, and we were introduced to Oxycontin, and that's where it kind of turned around. The first time I tried Oxy, I remember, wow, I don't feel anything. This is great. Like, I could sleep. I didn't get that high like I did on the uppers, and it was more so me. I could still eat. I could do everything, and I was able to hide it better. I was like, no one's gonna know I'm high on this. Whereas when I used meth, I used to wear these blue contacts to hide it because my eyes would dilate. I was really big at hiding it, and a lot of people didn't know how bad my addiction was. I didn't even know. It got really bad when I found out I was pregnant. And I was really heavy into using, and it was my birthday. And sure enough, I was pregnant. I found out I had medical problems. I couldn't keep my baby, so I had to have an abortion. The worst part about that is I'm Catholic. I was raised as a devout Catholic. After my abortion, it was downhill. There wasn't a day I was sober. I was smoking Oxy every day, if not heroin, black tar specifically. And on the weekends, I would do Molly. I didn't get sober through a treatment center. We didn't have that. This was in 2008. I got a job working around kids, and I loved it. You know, I had to make people believe I was sober. I had a city job. I worked with kids. No one knew. But then I had that guilt in me all the time of, man, if they knew what I was doing behind closed doors, I can't keep doing this. So I decided to open up, and my family helped me. I told them, like, hey, I'm suffering, and I don't know how to stop. I don't think I can. Shortly after I tried to get sober, my brother got shot 4 times by one of our really close friends in Unalaska. This is something you never hear happening. I relapsed heavily. And then Christmas rolled around. And I remember sitting there looking at everybody, and I couldn't be happy. And so I decided to change. And January 11th of that year was my official start date of my sobriety. A few months later, I got pregnant with my son. And I think it was the biggest blessing ever, because being pregnant, you can't do anything. It helped me maintain my sobriety. It helped me face things. And I remember when I had my son, I had to have an emergency C-section. First thing I was telling doctors was, don't give me anything, please. I'm fresh in sobriety. I'm less than a year. You can't give me anything. If I fall back into drugs, it's over. I was so scared. People think, like, you know, when you're in your addiction, a lot of times we're avoiding stuff. No one knows, like, the shame and guilt more than the person suffering from the addiction. No matter how many times people say it to us, we think about that more. It doesn't stop us from using, though. That's the problem. At least for me, like, the more people were, like, on me, the more people that were shaming me, guilting me, the more I wanted to get high. The more I wanted to shut everything out. I was neglecting a lot of things that happened to me as a child and as a teenager, and just avoiding a lot of pain. And I didn't like myself. I hated myself. I couldn't be sober because I was full of shame and full of guilt, thinking like I was never good enough. And then when I found drugs, I was like, okay, this works. Like, now I really don't have to feel anything ever. For people that are still suffering, there's always hope. When you first get sober, you don't have that at first, but your connections start developing again. And it's easier to say no over time. And I was able to talk about it without feeling shame, without feeling good. Like, I would be able to say, man, I really want to get high right now. I would say it. And people would be like, well, what can we do? Let's go work out. Let's go do this, let's go do that. I'm a person that can't be bored, so I try to maintain a pretty good schedule. I'm big on mindfulness. I practice a lot of mindfulness. I exercise, I read, and I engage myself with my family. I see a mental health clinician either every week or every other week, depending on where my mental health is at. And that's just like me exercising. That's just like me making sure I'm working, I'm staying busy. If I'm not busy, I don't like being bored. And for me now, though, as I'm getting older, I kind of like the quiet because I got 2 kids and they're loud. But then when they're not around me, it's like I have to find something to do. And I'm very honest. I'm huge on integrity, honesty, and practicing what I preach. And when you work with youth, you have to be honest with that because they'll read you. They'll tell you you're lying. So for me, finding a job where I can give back and give that same type of hope to kids that I didn't have, it's another big protective factor of letting them know, no matter how bad it is for you, if I can get out of it, you can too. I go around Anchorage and I educate my kids. They know what addiction is. They can identify it. They know what an unsafe house is. They have to know because me as a child, when I didn't know, that's how I got hurt. If I would have known some of the things I would have known now as an adult, as a child, it probably would have prevented a lot of things I kind of experienced as a child. And they're my biggest factor in my sobriety. It just takes time, it takes a lot of work, but I can wake up every day, look at my kids and know I'm doing 100% for them every day.